Hi guys. Okay, I'm gonna make this video response to a question. Are you supposed to bathe every patient? And this is something that you have to talk to your supervisor about and ask them what are the requirements and expectations of the night shift regarding bathing, because in my hospital we don't bathe everybody. Everyone is not responsible for bathing everyone. The morning shift, they're responsible, for instance, for bathing those who are selves or just light assist or assist patient. The nighttime, we're responsible for bathing total patients and patients who are bedridden that don't get up. And if anyone requests a bath, then we give them a bath, but we are not responsible for every bath. So if a CNA comes to you and expect you to have all this work done and everyone bathed and all of that, so they don't have to bathe them in the morning, you let them know I am responsible for total patients only and those who request a bath. Those are the patients that I gave a bath to, and I will let you know who they are as we are going, further in our report. And when you get in report, because you have CNAs who do this, they try to run the report. Is this done? Is that done? Did you do this? I'd be like, we're going to bedside and we're going to talk about each and every patient um, based on whatever room we are in. We're going to this room and we're going to talk about this patient. Don't try to run my report. Let me give you the information so that I can go and you can get your work done. Don't let these CNAs try to bully you and boss you, because they're coming in all agitated and they're coming in already all frustrated, because you have some people who do that. They come in already with the attitude. They come in already frustrated, already, all up in a frenzy for what? And those are the people that you just have to look at and be like, you have to know how to handle those type of co-workers. So when they come in, go to bedside. If this is what is required, do what's required. If you know that you're supposed to be at bedside giving a report, do it at bedside. If bedside is not required and you can just give it in the hallway or go somewhere and talk to them, do it that way. But do what's required and don't slack off. Don't do it sometimes and then do it one day and don't do it the next. Be consistent with how you give your reports, because a lot of CNAs will try to get you in trouble that way also. Oh, we didn't go to bedside. She didn't take me to bedside. We didn't go to bedside last week. You had no problem, but now you have a problem with it now, because you see people are grimy. So that's why you have to do your job the way you're supposed to do it, the right way the first time, and be consistent with it. So when you're giving your report, you know, do it patient by patient the way that you're supposed to. And if they try to jump ahead of you, tell them in a nice way, we didn't get there yet. I'm going to give my report, you know, however you want to say it. Say, don't go ahead of me. We didn't get there yet. Don't let them rush you, because then the information that you're supposed to give them slips your mind, and then you're like, oh, I should have told them this and that, and it could have been something important. And if it was important and you didn't tell them, or you didn't write it down, that's why it's important to write down everything. Even though you know that you have to tell them something during that time, we always forget. And then when we're in the car or when we're on our way home, oh, I should have told them such and such. Write down everything on their sheet, write it on your sheet, and just read off of your sheet so that you won't miss a thing. I have one, there's a one person I work with. Only thing she writes on her sheet is whether they're assist or Accucheck. All the other information, what they're on isolation for, and all of that, it's not there. And she neglects to tell me. There was one person who had C something. It's a deadly contagious something. And she didn't even put droplet precautions, nothing. The droplet precaution sign wasn't on the door, nothing. And I almost went in that room and the nurse had to yank me back because she knew I was pregnant. She was like, don't you dare go in that room. They don't give proper information. And also nurses sometimes don't give the CNA the proper information. That's why you have to take it upon yourself. If you have an isolation room, for example, take it upon yourself to go see what that person is on isolation for. You are supposed to know, because you are going in that room to care for that patient. You have to know. It's not on you don't need to know basis. As a CNA, you're supposed to know what that person is on isolation for. I do not step in a person's room if I don't know what they're on isolation for. And You can even look up that information yourself if you know how to do it. Ask a nurse, how can I find out if, for example, this person is on telly? Because, for example, for new admissions, who in the world will want to keep going back and forth in the patient's room after they've been sitting in the emergency room for 5 hours? They want to get some rest. I'm talking about the night shift. They're coming on the floor at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're tired as I don't know what, but you got to keep coming in the room because the nurse is neglecting to tell you information, not on purpose, because at the time they probably don't know, they didn't check, but you can check. You can go into certain screens and find out if the person is on telly, so that when you get your welcome basket, you have your telly monitor, you have everything that you need for that patient, so you don't have to keep going back and forth into their room. I hate when nurses are admitting their patient and then 2 hours later, oh, the patient is on telly. Sometimes they didn't get the order for the telly, they got it late, but I'm talking about when the order is already there. Tell me right then and there, while I'm in the room with the patient, that the patient is telly, so that after I have helped get all the sheets and everything from under them, and after we settled them and they're laying down sleeping, now I have to wake them up and be like, I have to put this box on you. When a nurse does that, I tell them, I'm not getting the box, you go get it. Because when I was in there, you should have told me. Don't tell me a half an hour later, I'm not waking up the patient, you go do it. And don't be afraid to do that, because they should have told you. All of these questions they're asking them, they should give you the information so that you can do it. Have the patient in mind when we're doing things with them. A lot of people don't have the patient in mind. They just have their task and what they need to do. The patient is tired. The patient, they want to rest. They don't want people coming. I know it's the hospital, but we can do things more efficiently. So get your stuff together. You can check certain information. If they're on isolation, know what they are in isolation for, because you need to protect yourself. You need to protect other patients. You don't want a disease. You didn't come to work to catch something from someone. Now, if no one knows what the isolation precaution is for, gear up. If their light is on, you can't be like, oh, I'm not going in the room. Gear up completely and totally. If it is one of those double door rooms, you don't know if the person has tuberculosis, so that little mask is not going to do it. Get the proper mask just in case, because they're in the room with the double doors. They could have TB. You don't know, because what they on isolation for is not on your paper. And sometimes there was a question that I read on one of the videos about the nurse said that they don't need to know, you don't need to know what a patient is isolation for. That person is lying to you, and that person needs to be fired. As a CNA, you need to know what that person is on isolation for. The nurse probably told you that because she probably didn't even know herself, or didn't even take the time to look. Make sure you know who's on droplet. Make sure you know who has what. In isolation room, anyway, I always put on the mask. I always put on the protection. I always wear gloves in anybody's room. I don't care if they're isolation or not, because I am protecting myself, because I've seen too much. I've been doing this too long, and I'm not going to act like I'm ignorant of certain things. I gear up, I put gloves on, and I suggest that you all do the same. If you don't know what they're on isolation for, you didn't get that report, make sure that you find sooner than later, find out what they're on isolation for, and put it on your paper and communicate that to the next CNA, because they need to know. And you need to know, because you don't want to get sick, you don't want to catch anything. And what else? I'm trying to remember the questions. I think that was it. Isolation and giving report about the baths. Yeah, don't let CNAs bully you. They have responsibilities that they're supposed to do that they don't complete during the day shift, but they expect you to have all of this stuff done for them. Do what is required of you. If a patient requests a bath, of course you cannot refuse it. Give them the bath, and you run your report. Don't let other people try to run your report for you, because if you miss anything, and you don't give the proper information, there's a lot of people who are quick to run and go tell the supervisor to get you in trouble. And also do it in a do what you do on a consistent basis, and do it in an orderly fashion. Write down everything that you can think of on the piece of paper and write it on their paper so that you don't miss anything. Don't be one of those people that think it's all up in your head. No, because we forget just like that because of what's happening around us and how other people will throw us off with their questions and then we remember later. Don't do that. Write everything down. Okay, I have to go do my 3-hour glucose test. Oh gosh, I'm so hungry. Okay, you guys be blessed. Bye.